Hello, this is Joe Pearson, the project planner for this application, and this is a presentation for the Casa Aliento parcel map project filed by Yaneth Sans Solis with community development partners. The project includes a request for a tentative parcel map. The proposed map will subdivide an existing 1.8 acre lot to create two parcels, which will be approximately 0.58 acres for parcel 1, and that will contain the existing Denny's restaurant and associated parking lot, and parcel 2, which will be approximately 1.23 acres, and will contain the approved Casa Aliento residential development and associated parking and open space areas. The project site is located at 1245 and 1255 North Oxnard Boulevard and contains the approved apartment project and the Denny's restaurant. Shown here are photos of the existing development. The existing Denny's is currently operational, and as I will touch on later, the former Vagabond has been approved for the Casa Aliento apartment project. The area surrounding the project generally consists of commercial auto-oriented uses to the north and south of the project. And there are existing single-family dwellings to the west and Oxnard Boulevard to the east, with the park and residential uses on the other side of Oxnard Boulevard. The city's 2030 general plan land use designation for the subject site is commercial general, and the CG, or commercial general land use designation, allows retail centers and freestanding commercial uses along arterials and may also include office and other residential uses. The zoning is general commercial plan development, which allows uses consistent with the commercial general land use designation. A little bit of background. The Planning Commission approved the original plan development permit for the site, which permitted the construction of a 2-story 70-unit motor hotel, a lobby manager's apartment and coffee shop, parking areas, and related site improvements back in 1968. More recently, pursuant to Assembly Bill 83 and California Health and Safety Code on April 29, 2021, the permittee filed a zone clearance request to convert the hotel to a supportive housing apartment complex. Projects receiving money from the Coronavirus Relief Fund, established by the Federal Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, which allowed businesses to acquire and or rehabilitate hotels and motels to provide housing for individuals and families, are not subject to discretionary review and were deemed consistent with all city zoning and 2030 general plan policies. On September 16, 2021, the Plan Division approved a zone clearance allowing the change in use to convert the 70-room hotel to a permanent supportive housing apartment complex. At that time, no additions or exterior site changes were proposed, and the permittee was simply required to obtain building permits for the interior tenant improvements for the conversion. Then on January 23rd, 2023, the Plan Division approved a request for site modifications to accommodate the conversion of the former Vagabond Inn into a 70-unit supportive housing complex with 69 very low-income studio units and a 1-bedroom manager's unit. The approval also included the minister review for a parking standard modification pursuant to state density bonus law and Oxnard City Code. Pursuant to state state density bonus law, a city shall not impose any minimum vehicular parking requirements on a supportive housing development as defined in the Health and Safety Code. Therefore, no parking is required for the Casa Aliento residential project as it complies with the requirements of the Health and Safety Code. As shown, the site improvements consisted of interior and exterior alterations that will consist of facade changes, new landscaping, a 900 square foot outdoor lounge and community garden area. And again, for reference, this has already been approved and is shown here for reference. In conjunction with the proposed parcel map, the Planning Commission approved a request for a major modification to the original plan development permit to allow for improvements to an existing development. That project included site improvements that will consist of the reconfiguration and expansion of the parking lot, minor frontage improvements, reconstruction of the Denny's trash enclosure to meet current standards, and associated landscape improvements. The project also included a request for administrative parking relief to decrease the number of required parking spaces on parcel 1, or the Denny's parcel, from 47 to 44 spaces, and to allow for up to 11 compact parking spaces in accordance with Oxnard City Code. No new buildings were proposed, and at that hearing, the Planning Commission also recommended that the City Council approve the tentative parcel map to subdivide the existing lot. As shown in the site plan, the proposed Casa Aliento parcel will have access via Glenwood Drive and Outer Oxnard Boulevard via existing driveways. The Glenwood driveway would be fenced as an exit-only driveway. The proposed Denny's parcel will be accessible via an existing driveway on Glenwood and a new exit-only driveway on Glenwood. The proposed and existing driveways will provide access to the site and allow for vehicular circulation around the sites. The majority of improvements will occur on parcel 1, which will contain the Denny's restaurant. Again, these improvements will consist of parking lot improvements to expand the parking lot and fill in the existing pool area. The first driveway on Glenwood will still function as the primary driveway, and the improvements will also allow the separate circulation and parking areas from the Casa Aliento development on parcel 2. And these improvements will be required prior to the final map. Again, as previously stated in the background section, the Casa Aliento project received prior approval for many of the site improvements shown on the plans, including the revised open space and parking areas. The proposed improvements under the requested major modification included the proposed fencing and parking lot improvements to separate the parking areas from the Denny's parcel. And again, the proposed improvements will be required as part of the final map. The development of the proposed project furthers many of the policies identified in the 2030 general plan, as identified in the Planning Commission staff report. Some of the key policies are shown here. Again, as the development will improve an older development near Oxnard Boulevard with a renovated site, enhancements to the landscaping, parking lot, and will incorporate native and water-wise plants. And is consistent with the allowable commercial general land uses and will be compatible with adjacent requirements, it can be found to be consistent with the 2030 general plan. The project is subject to the general commercial plan development zone district. Development tables were incorporated into the Planning Commission staff report showing and comparing applicable development standards for this project. There were two variations requested, as previously mentioned. The first was to allow for a reduction in the amount of required parking for Denny's, and the second was to allow for compact parking, both of which were approved by the Planning Commission. In accordance with Section 15301 for existing facilities of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA guidelines, projects involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond that existing at the time of the lead agency's determination may be found to be exempt from the requirements of CEQA. Also, in accordance with Section 15315, or minor land divisions of the CEQA guidelines, projects consisting of the division of property in urban areas zoned for residential, commercial, or industrial for use into 4 or fewer parcels. When the division is in conformance with the general plan and zoning, no variances or exceptions are required, and all services and access to the proposed parcels to local standards are available. And the parcel was not involved in a division of a larger parcel within the previous 2 years, and the parcel does not have an average slope greater than 20%, may be found to be exempt from the requirements of CEQA. As the project meets these requirements, as further detailed in the Planning Commission staff report, the Planning Commission accepted the notice of exemption. Shown here are some of the recommended conditions of approval. The permit is valid for 36 months. The developer shall process the parcel map associated with the permit concurrent with the site improvement plans. The parcel map shall also be processed for recordation concurrent with the approval of the major modification site improvement plans. And there's a condition which requires the dedication of a sidewalk and ADA driveway improvements. And a full list of conditions can be found in the attached resolution. Notice of the City Council hearing was provided via the newspaper and on-site posting and was mailed to property owners within 300 feet. As of the date of this recording, no public comments have been submitted for the project. The project is also located within the Carriage Square neighborhood. On April 17th, 2023, the project was presented during a public community workshop meeting. Notices were mailed out to all property owners of the neighborhood. During the meeting, no public comments were received regarding the project. Therefore, based on the information provided in the staff report and presentation, staff recommends that the City Council find the project to be categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA guidelines, sections 15301 for existing facilities and 15315 for minor land divisions, and adopt the resolution approving planning zoning permit 22-300-04, subject to certain findings and conditions as provided in the resolution.